Welcome back to the Express at the Surrey Art Gallery for one of their new exhibits, Finding Correspondences. It explores the process and the meaning of translation and also looks at how new technologies of translation and communication are affecting the language of our time. Now, the topic of technology, that's big in the world of steampunk. And up next on the Express, a Surrey duo is teaching us more about this flashy fantasy subculture.
Boasting the latest in extrasolar nanotechnology,
you need 4 hands to do this.
He spreads his majestic wings ready to travel through time. He is Captain Chronomech.
He's a combination of Doctor Who and MacGyver. So he travels through time and injects wonder back into history.
He's also the alter ego Josh has been dreaming about since childhood.
I've always been resistant to growing up, and so Captain Chronomech is a manifestation of that part of me that I've spent the last 30-some years nurturing.
You see, Josh and his wife are self-proclaimed steampunks, artists who create characters, props.
It uses a piece of an old heat gun.
And artwork based on the steampunk subculture.
Steampunk is an aesthetic that celebrates texture, warmth, and Victorian-era technology, but taken to a fantastic place, taken to a place where we have modern technology, but with this patina of age and texture to it. It's a way of taking historical objects, taking antiques, and reappropriating them, reincorporating them into new things.
Like putting a Soviet-era vacuum tube in this Xbox and an old stereo speaker on this costume prop.
So this is Hephaestus's hammer. He's the god of the forge and of making things.
For me, learning how things work and how things worked in the past and trying to bring that into the future again is really interesting. So I like to take things apart and I like to put them back together in new ways.
They even created an interactive story display whereby touching an object triggers a narration on a computer screen.
Pictures came from my contact with the French. All of my work is directed at understanding how people become characters, how they transform, how they experience new points of view through narrative. The power of story is to give you an experience of seeing the world through someone else's eyes, of experiencing the world from a different perspective.
A world of optimism where heroes like Captain Chronomech help mankind achieve its greatest potential. As soon as Josh fixes the time machine. I'm Tim Chung in Surrey for The Express.
For more info on the Tannenbaum's steampunk art, you can go to their website, geekmovement.com. You're watching our Express special on the arts, and there are a lot of genres of that, popular ones, all around the Lower Mainland. But you know, there's a saying, art is not a thing, it's a way. And I bet that rings true for our next group of dancers.
Robson Arena is probably not the first place you would think to find dozens of different dancers, but while most Vancouverites are stepping around puddles, these people are working on steps of their own.
Robson Square is like, it's a community kind of, and you have so many different kinds of dancers. You have, you know, breaking, you have hip-hop, you have locking, popping, whacking. It's a great place.
Reese says although people come from different backgrounds, they all share one thing.
Everyone kind of has their own separate lives, but one thing that we all have in common is, of course, our passion for dance. And so we all come together and try and move forward with that.
Woo! Christian Pardo has been breakdancing for over 10 years, and when he's not helping with his family's business, he's working on his moves, and he knows that hard work pays off.
It feels really good, especially like this kind of dance. Like it's kind of like something like ballet or something like that, because you train it so many times and you make so many mistakes. But then when you finally get it, it's just like, you know, 5-6 months or whatever. It kind of feels like it was worth it.
Here at Robson Square, your age or skill level doesn't matter. It's all about having a good time. Some of the guys who practice here battle competitively and some just for fun, but no matter what kind of battle you're in, there's always one golden rule.
If you touch, you're kind of, I guess it kind of shows you're weak, because dancing, you express with your dance, right? There should be no need for violence, because this is not what it's about. It's about like using your dance moves and what you train for and show how much you're dedicated to it. It's not about violence or anything like that.
Reese will continue dancing and working towards his dream job until it becomes his reality.
Really want to get into Cirque du Soleil. I love performing. Probably my number one thing is I just love performing. So I want to perform as much as possible and just keep elevating.
I'm Peter Verge in Vancouver for The Express.
Breakdancing has grown so much in recent years that many of the professionals travel the world to compete and are able to make a living at it. Now, the dancers that we just met, they say they love hockey season, but they wish that the ice would stay out of the Robson rink all year long. So maybe they should try dancing on their skates, or maybe that'd just be dangerous. Anyway, you're watching our Express special on the arts. After the break,
quite imposing, isn't it, this lobby? Very dramatic.
If these walls could talk, at the Orpheum Theatre, it seems they can.
The Orpheum is still here.
Forever in a moment, the supernatural skill of nature photography. The Express, we are your local voice. This holiday season, you can help a family with a child in need through Timmy's Christmas Telethon in support of the BC Lions Society for Children with Disabilities. Watch Shaw TV Channel 4 on Sunday, December 4th and help make a difference in their lives. Welcome back to our Express Arts special from the Surrey Art Gallery and their new exhibit, Finding Correspondences. Now, the Mexican poet Octavio Paz called translation the art of shadows and echoes, or the art of finding correspondences. And we're going to show you more from the exhibit coming up. Right now, we're looking at a star-studded photography exhibit at a theater that I think is like a work of art in and of itself.
On busy Granville Street stands a testament to history, artistry, and style. The Orpheum Theatre, built in 1927 as a vaudeville house and cinema.
So in 1973, famous players closed it. They were intending to demolish it and replace it with a multiplex like the old Capital 6 that was next door already. Citizens of Vancouver rose up in fury and insisted. The city of Vancouver stepped in, bought the property, and then renovated it. Reopened it in 1977 as a concert hall as the main home for the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra.
The city of Vancouver maintained the original architecture of the Orpheum, which was built to be as dramatic and impressive as the performances people were coming to see.
The actual architectural styles used here is a combination of Romanesque, Gothic, Spanish Baroque, and they're all just kind of stuck together just for effect.
Quite imposing, isn't it, this lobby? Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. That was the whole idea. It was entertaining just to come here. All the chandeliers, except the ones in the new part of the lobby that was built in 1983, are made of Czechoslovakian crystal. They're the original chandeliers that were put in 1927. They would cost a pure fortune to try and replicate today.
Inside the huge concert hall, the Orpheum continues to impress.
When the theatre was built, 1927, it had 3,200 seats. They were a lot smaller than these. When we renovated, it was reduced to 2,700 seats, but they're wider. I think it's very important to the people of Vancouver that the Orpheum is still here and that we're able to look after it and keep it upgraded as we have been doing. So many people older people who remember, on their first date in the balcony snuggling to a movie. And the fact that since the 1980s we've been doing those high school graduations here every year, that there's a whole, 2 generations of people who've had their graduation at the Orpheum and they've never forgotten it.
And the Orpheum keeps the rest of us remembering with an extensive collection of archival photographs.
This is My Fair Lady, would have been in the 60s. And that's the scene from the day at the Ascot races.
Oh, wow.
There's also a BC Wall of Fame, and celebrating local talent is one of many things Ray loves about his job.
People coming and people laughing and people being moved and people being inspired and young people coming and getting the taste for live entertainment. It's just a wonderful environment to work in. Wonderful people that we have working with us. It's just great.
In Vancouver, I'm Kendall Harris for The Express.
If you'd like your own tour of the beautiful Orpheum Theatre, there are public tours available by appointment. You can get more information online at vancouver.ca/theatres. It's so interesting what a photograph can capture. And you know what they say, a picture takes 1,000 words. But Express reporter Nicole Fitzgerald says photography isn't about what you see, it's about what you don't see.
I've been shooting professionally 11 years now and pretty much taken photos since I was in high school, you know, and no, I don't think I've ever shot a puddle that way.
Just a puddle, or at least that's how the average eye sees it. A waterfall is just a waterfall, and a tree is just a tree. But photographer Blake Jorgenson searches for more. He looks for detail, maybe a reflection, a drip, or in this case, a ripple.
You're kind of looking for stuff in between the lines, especially things that your viewer might overlook, because that's what's going to stop people in their tracks.
It's this attention to detail that led to this Whistler legend commanding the covers of Powder and skier magazines, as well as running six-figure shoots for advertising clients like Rossignol and Nike. It's this unique way of singling out what is often passed by that elevated a career in sports action photography to images of fine art. Blake travels the globe shooting in China, Africa, Nepal, Chile, Australia, and Alaska. But today his lens is fine art focused on Whistler. His favorite shutter setting scene, Rainbow Falls.
It's the most ideal when it's a drizzly, cloudy day. Having a nice layer of rain on everything just makes the highlights pop, and actually overcast is just like a nice big studio softbox. The majority of all the landscape images that I shoot of Whistler and the outdoors all kind of get done in the fall. It's a good way to get creative and come up with ideas and recharge for the long winter coming up. This particular image, I think it was shot last fall.
As the leaves turn, so does Blake's career, here at the Adele Campbell Gallery in Whistler, where he launches his new collection, an almost 4-year-long effort that will soon show in galleries across Canada.
Feel what it's like. You know what it's like to be there as a Whistler person. What we've come up with is a limited edition collection of my favorite and best material. I've really pushed and racked my brain to try and get the photos to look the way that I want to. We have these resin-coated pieces that are actually made by another artist that coats them individually, so each one is actually a one-of-a-kind.
One of a kind in presentation and scope, according to art aficionado Penny Eder-Martin.
Blake's work seems to capture an essence of the exact location like no other photographer I've ever seen. That piece feels like I'm standing right there in that location that Blake took the picture. I can almost hear the footsteps of the man walking while he's carrying his child.
The bigger pieces in here are all shot on film, large format cameras. You know, out shooting today with the smaller Nikon cameras is a great way to experiment, and digital gives you the freedom to move around and find shots, but once you kind of have found shots that you really love, or I love, I'll tend to go back with the bigger cameras that are a little bit more painstaking process.
After visiting Rainbow Falls countless times over the years, Blake's eye finally made its mark here and captured it on film.
Sometimes you don't quite know what the photo is going to be. You just sort of recognize that there's some details there. I basically just stop when I feel like I can't improve on it.
Perfection and detail, a balance of perfect proportions found in the hands of Whistler's own Vitruvian man. From Rainbow Falls, I'm Nicole Fitzgerald for The Express.
Blake's an award-winning photographer. He's won the Pro Photographer Showdown twice. As for Nicole, she says that the Rainbow Falls are gorgeous, but that Blake's photography makes them even more so. You're watching our Express special on the arts, and that's where we're shining today's Express Spotlight.
The 15th annual East Side Culture Crawl is a free 3-day visual arts phenomenon. This event involves more than 10,000 people visiting artists in their studios in the East Vancouver area. Get a head start on your holiday wish list. Lee Square Community Arts Village 4th Annual Winter Artisans Fair returns to offer affordable, quality art and fine crafts and edibles. In celebration of exhibitions that investigate the art of translation, Surrey Art Gallery will host a Family Day. Right here, featuring family-friendly activities inspired by the exhibitions, the drop-in event invites families to explore, enjoy, and create art together.
Also here at the Surrey Art Gallery, there's a curator's talk on November the 10th from 7:30 until 9, so you can get a more intimate exploration of finding correspondences that explores language, translation, and identity in contemporary life. That's what we're closing today's show with. Thanks for watching The Express, only on Shaw TV.